If you want awesome products at great prices, check out the in the description. The Australian Defence Department's unease, a question of military imagery in election campaigns. The upcoming 2025 Australian federal election has sparked a debate regarding the appropriateness of using military imagery in political campaigns. The Defense Department has expressed concern over a growing trend of candidates depicting themselves in military fatigues, engaged in activities such as parachuting, overseas deployments, and brandishing rifles in their campaign materials. This raises questions about the ethical implications of leveraging military service for political gain and the potential for misrepresenting one's connection to the armed forces. The controversy is not new. The case of former SAS troop commander and now Liberal MP Andrew Hastie provides a relevant precedent. Hastie, dismissed from the Army Reserves in 2016 for persistent use of uniformed imagery in his campaign materials, exemplifies the complexities involved. The military maintains a stricter policy towards active reserve members, prohibiting such use, but the situation becomes murkier for those no longer serving. The current election cycle highlights this ambiguity. Liberal candidate for Leichhardt, Jeremy Neal, features prominently in his campaign pamphlets in military fatigues, rifle in hand. While his official Liberal Party biography omits any mention of military service, his LinkedIn profile reveals a stint as an officer cadet in the Army Reserves between 2016 and 2018. This discrepancy underscores the need for transparency and clarity in how candidates present their past military affiliations. The use of such imagery, even if technically permissible, could be perceived as exploiting the respect and trust associated with military service for political advantage. The Defense Department finds itself in a delicate position. While it can politely request candidates to refrain from using military imagery if they are no longer affiliated with the armed forces and aren't employing copyrighted defense material, it lacks the legal authority to enforce a complete ban. This lack of robust regulatory power leaves room for potential misuse and creates an uneven playing field for candidates. The department's ability to act is essentially limited to gentle persuasion, creating a loophole that some candidates may be inclined to exploit. There is no suggestion of any legal breaches by the candidates in question, but the optics are undoubtedly problematic. The implications extend beyond mere image control. The use of military attire and settings in campaign materials risks trivializing the sacrifices made by serving personnel and potentially misleading the electorate. It blurs the lines between genuine military experience and political posturing, undermining the integrity of both the military and the electoral process. The potential for misinterpretation and the exploitation of public trust necessitate a broader discussion on establishing clearer guidelines and regulations. Furthermore, the ethical considerations extend to the candidates themselves. While the use of such images might seem effective in conveying a sense of strength, leadership, and patriotism, it can also be perceived as manipulative and opportunistic, potentially alienating voters who value honesty and transparency above all else. The potential backlash from voters who feel manipulated can outweigh any perceived short-term gains. The experience of another candidate, Kelly, whose full name wasn't provided in the original report, further illustrates the emotional complexities involved. Their dismissal from the Australian Army after nearly 30 years of service underscores the deep personal connection many have to the military. Their statement, "A really sad day, it ended nearly 30 years of attachment to the Australian Army, an institution that I love dearly," highlights the emotional weight and profound sense of loss associated with such a severance. This underscores the potential for emotional manipulation when using military imagery in campaigning. The question remains: should the Defense Department adopt a more assertive stance, potentially lobbying for legislative changes to provide a more effective framework for regulating the use of military imagery in political campaigning? Or should the onus remain on individual candidates to exercise responsible judgment and self-regulation? The current situation leaves much to be desired in terms of clarity and oversight. The upcoming election will undoubtedly serve as a testing ground, further highlighting the ongoing need for a more robust and ethically sound approach to managing this sensitive issue. The ongoing silence from Mr. Hastie on the matter further fuels the debate, especially given his potential future role as defense minister. His actions, or lack thereof, will heavily influence the public's perception of this evolving concern.